Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Colorado Sports Connect Bronco Weekly Show. I am David Slade, your host, and I'm joined in the background, the man behind the curtain, Mr. Graham. Graham, how you doing today?
What's up, everybody? I'm doing great. How are you
Graham,
doing?
I'm doing good. It's a nice day here in Colorado. Graham and I were talking before the show, and it's a little chilly where he's at. So -1 degree Celsius. So
And it's
for
only
all
going to get worse.
right, only now. Where exactly in Canada are you, Graham?
I'm in Manitoba.
Manitoba. So how
Yep.
far north of the U.S. border is that? Would you say?
Oh, me personally, like 2 hours. Not
Okay.
far. Not
All right.
far.
So one more question, Graham, and then we'll stop grilling you on everything. How did
Oh,
you,
boy.
Graham? How did you, Graham, living in Manitoba, Canada, become a Denver Bronco fan?
um, well, my stepdad is actually a huge fan and has been for a while and got me into football in general. So, got to go to Broncos training camp many times in the
Oh,
early
nice.
2000s, and
Oh, nice.
yeah,
Awesome.
it's
Awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, it's always neat to find out how people became Bronco fans that are not from this Rocky Mountain region. So, um, and there's Matt. And we're gonna start playing a game. Everybody's heard the game. Where's Waldo? We're gonna start. Where's Matt? Again, Matt's not here. So, but that's all right. We'll forgive Matt. So, it's funny thing. Where's Waldo? So, a couple weeks ago, I went to the Guns N' Roses concert. And I took my
Ooh,
wife. I took my wife with me, and my wife is not a Guns N' Roses fan, so she humored me, and she went to the show with me. And what does my wife do? My wife she's sitting there just watching the crowd, and clear across the arena, she spots Waldo because there was somebody there that was dressed as Waldo. So it was very funny. So we got a comment in from a Facebook user. I just want to let it remind everybody or allow StreamYard to use your Facebook name so we know who we're talking to. That's all it's going to take. Where it said we're going live or that we are live, there should be a link there for you to click on to allow StreamYard to use your Facebook name. If not, then at least put your name in your comment. I have a good idea who this is.
we
It
love to
may,
know who you are.
I believe it is probably our good friend Jody Moncrief of the Denver Bronco Roundup, who says the Broncos are back and no need to rebuild. So, um, so, and Matt says we called it. So it's sort of hard, not to pick Jody out. He's a guy who always picks the Broncos to score 42 points, and that there's no need to rebuild this team. So
It's
we
not
will talk about that a little
reality.
bit more. Yeah. Today, everybody is going to being that we don't have a game coming up, we're going to look back at the first half of the season. Let's make this interactive. Let's let you guys drive the show where we're going. As long as you don't come with too many crazy comments, we'll address most of your comments. So, but go ahead and throw your comments out there. And before we get started, really quick, I just want to let everybody know that Willow Seasonings and Blends is the official sponsor of the Colorado Sports Connection. So if you guys want yourself some award-winning barbecued rubs or sauces, go to willowseasonings.com and use code CSC2023. You'll get a 15% product discount. Also, if you're in the Denver metro area tomorrow, we will be down in Castle Rock and at Farm Girl Market. So swing by there, and we'll be sampling pulled pork sliders and our signature smoked chicken wings. So come on out, have
Oh,
fun, join us, talk barbecue, everything else. And also let everybody know every week we do a weekly giveaway. Um, and it's based on the Broncos score. So last week our winner was out from Denver Bronco Roundup. So when you guys, those will be out next week. Just make sure you get into it. It's a good chance for you to win a product that you may have never used before, and it'd be a good chance for you to win something and try a new seasoning product if you're looking for something new to try. All right, let's get on with the show. Graham, we finished 3-5. We started out, things were not looking good. It was 1-5, and then and we end up 3-5. I'm gonna mute you for a minute, Graham. It sounds like we got a lot of background noise back there. So, all right, there we go. Broncos started out 3-5. Started out 1-5. We ended up 3-5. The Kansas City game was impressive. I did not expect that win. I will say that. And we do have a question here. Says David Hope all is well. Do you think KC wins something to build off or just caught KC at a good time? I think it's probably a combination of both. The defense played a very, very, very good game. The defense was really good. The offense, still a lot to be desired. The run game was there. The run game was perfect, but our passing game, 114 yards, You're not going to win a lot of games like that going forward because eventually people are going to figure out, well, we'll just stack the box. We'll stop the running game, and then we're going to force Russell Wilson to beat us, and he hasn't proven that he can beat many teams. So, without the accompaniment of a strong running game. So we'll see how it goes. But I do think it is something to build upon. I think it helps, to start establishing that we can win. Because I think that was a problem with this team, Graham, is this team just did not know how to win, And
Right.
I think beating somebody like Kansas City can help you in that direction. But I don't think it's like, hey, we're back. This team is, it is great. I look at the schedule, though. It is very promising. Our schedule is, and I'll throw it up here along the bottom, everybody, you can check it out.
Yeah.
We have a favorable schedule. So everybody out there, what are your thoughts? What do you think the Broncos will do in the second half? We're 3-5 right now. We are 15 out of 16 in the AFC. So we have a lot of ground to make up if we want to be a playoff team. Is a playoff team out of, is that just crazy talk, if this team, like Kenny Kirkpatrick says, 6-3 in the second half, so that puts us at 9-8. 9-8 probably does not get you in the playoffs in the AFC, but it is a good building block, So, and I think that there is from Kurt probably. And yeah, we did get the coach. We got the QB. I wouldn't say the QB was the big factor in us winning that game. When you throw for 114 yards, you're not dominating the other team. But I'm still going to stick by the fact that I don't think that Russ is Sean Payton's guy. I don't think that's who Sean Payton wants. And here's a question I'm going to ask everybody. I heard this on the radio the other day. And you guys let me know what you think. 3 people: George Payton, Russell Wilson, Vance Joseph. Which one of those 3 do you think has the chance to, I guess, redeem themselves or get into Sean Payton's good graces and be a part of this team next year? And I like Keith Brugman's prediction, 9-7-1. This guy had a tie in there. Who do you have as tying, Keith? That's who I want to know. Keith with the Denver Bronco Roundup. If you guys have not checked them out, check them out over on Rocky Mountain Sports Network. They do a great job over there.
Having a tie in there is pretty bold and unique,
yeah. Yeah. So, and Frank Dominguez has a thing up there, probably won in spite of the QB, which I agree. And yeah, somebody's saying, well, 3 TDs. Yeah, he threw 3 TDs. Well, I mean, come on, guys. Out of 11 drives, I think our average yards per drive was 23 yards. It's not like we were moving up and down the field, and Russell Wilson was just tearing the Kansas City Chiefs apart. That didn't happen. Our defense put this offense in some good places. Special teams put the offense in some good places. This was not a dominating performance by Russell Wilson. And if you think that it was, then you should probably go back and watch the game again, because it wasn't. This team was carried by the defense and by the running game that we had. So, Kenny's coming in. He's saying that he has to go with Russ as the guy coming back. If you finish 9-8 in borderline playoffs after 1-5 start, I honestly think, and I think that if the defense continues to play the way it does, I think Vance Joseph is probably the logical choice. And here's my thought process on that. Sean Payton did not pick Russ. Sean Payton inherited George Payton. So let's say Sean Payton just doesn't want George Payton. He goes to the ownership group, says, I don't want this guy. And I think Sean Payton probably has Pinner's ear on this, and if he goes to him and says, I don't want this. So, he says, I don't want George Payton. I can see George Payton gone. I can see Russ gone because it's not Sean's guy. Russ cannot run the system the way that Sean Payton wants it run. Russell Wilson is not Drew Brees. Russell Wilson will never be Drew Brees. So, Vance Joseph, minus the Dolphins game, and Frank says it here, it's been pretty good. Yeah, we blew a game against Washington, but you know what? I am not going to blame the defense on that when the offense could not move the ball and could not keep a huge lead. The offense just let that defense get worn out. And that's been a problem, the first when we started 1-5. A lot of it was the offense and their failures just kept running a defense out there that was just exhausted, and we saw it last year, where we had that top 5 defense, but they were just getting worn out because the offense couldn't move the ball, 3 and outs. So, yes, we know Russ threw 3 TDs. Go back and look at his TDs. Russ also missed many open receivers too. So don't think Russ is the guy here. So anyway, I'm going to stay off that. I'm going to click off so I don't see the comments, Graham, and I'm going to let you control the comments. So,
sounds good.
All right. So, because, yeah, I mean, you go back and you look at that game, and if you didn't watch the game and you just looked at the box score, you would be like, how did this guy throw 3 TDs, with 104 net 87 passing yards after taking out the sack yardage? That's not a recipe for success for this offense.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Graham.
I would just like to point out, people are saying about looking at the stats for Super Bowl 32. That was what, 25 years ago?
It's a different game.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's a different game now.
More than 25 years ago. Something
right.
like that.
I know Peyton Manning didn't have a great Super Bowl either, but look at that defense we had. That defense was insane. Russell Wilson and his 114 yards is not going to win the Denver Broncos the Super Bowl. Because the difference between John Elway and Peyton Manning from Russell Wilson, I think if some defenses stacked the box and took the run away, I think John Elway and Peyton Manning could make you pay. I don't think that Russell Wilson can do that. So, Kenny, and I'm not going to take that away. We got to win. And that is true. We did what we had to do to get a win. But let's not talk like all problems were solved, because there is a group of people out there that think every problem was solved on this Denver Bronco offense. And it's far from it. Because if somebody takes away the run from us, can Russell Wilson go out there and beat anybody? And he has not proven that he can. Now, when Russell Wilson proves that, then I'll believe it. But I mean, when's the last time you've seen Russell Wilson go out there and just destroy a team? So, I mean, had a good game against Chicago, but a lot of that, I mean, after Chicago decided they wanted to mail it in the second half, and I'm not saying Russ is horrible. So, so don't take it as that. I'm just saying Russ has had a very good year, so far. I mean, but we're 3-5. We're a 3-5 football team. The offense is not functional. I don't think this offense will ever fully be the Sean Payton functional offense with Russell Wilson here. I think Sean Payton wants to find his guy, whoever that is. I'm not sure who it is. So, but let's look at the schedule really quick, Graham. All right. Coming out of the bye, first game, Monday Night Football at Buffalo. That's a hard place to play. We usually don't play well there anyway, So I'm going to say that's a very difficult win,
Right.
I'm not saying it's impossible, because anything's possible. Anything can happen, but
Yeah, we beat the Chiefs.
yeah, in my book, though, I'm going to say on a Monday night game at Buffalo, I don't see us winning against that defense. Then we come back the next week, Sunday Night Football, Minnesota. That used to be a more challenging game, but Kirk Cousins is gone now. So then I see us winning that game. So I got us at 1-1 after that.
Yeah,
So,
currently Jaron Hall is their quarterback, and it's like
right.
no disrespect to him, but who is that?
Right. And does Josh Dobbs take over? I mean, and
Yeah.
are we really afraid of Josh Dobbs? So then 11-26, we have Cleveland at home. That's, good defense, great defense with Cleveland. The problem is, how is their offense going to show up? Who's going to be the quarterback? Is it going to be PJ Walker? Is it going to be Deshaun Watson? I mean, what's going to happen there? So I would say that is a very winnable game. So I have us at 2-1 after the break. Then we go at Houston. Houston has been up and down, especially with the rookie quarterback. They're sort of flatlining a little bit, and maybe that's another game you can steal. So, okay, 3-1. At the Chargers. Can we go to LA and beat the Chargers? Possibly. That team's so dysfunctional with that head coach out there. And Kellen Moore came in, and I think he's even made it so Herbert's worse than he was, I wouldn't say worse. I think he sort of regressed under Kellen Moore. So,
right.
So I would say we could win there. That would be 3-1 there. Then 4-1 if we beat the Chargers. At Detroit, I'm gonna say no. New England, yeah, possible. LA Chargers at home, possible, and at the Raiders, possible. This team could go 6-3, 7-2 with some good breaks, and everything else. So, we'll just have to see how things go. You want to run through some comments really quick, see if there's anything good up there we need to address, Graham?
Yeah, this one right here.
Who was the QB when Washington came into and I agree, you don't overlook
Sam
anybody
Howell.
in the NFL. Right. You don't overlook anybody. This team is not that talented where we can overlook opponents and say, oh, we got these guys. I think that's how Chicago got out to a 28-3 lead on us, is because, it's Justin Fields. He can't do anything to us, So, but
here's another one.
And I agree with Frank here. I want Russell Wilson to prove me wrong too. I really do. I would love for our QB situation to be resolved. And we know next year that we do have a franchise guy. Instead of just saying there and saying, oh, we got a franchise guy and a future Hall of Famer. Well, come out and play like it then, because he hasn't for a year and a half, and I really would like to get to that point where I trust Russell Wilson and say, yeah, this is our guy. We don't have to worry about QB for the next 3 to 5 years. Because I think the
Yeah.
ceiling on Russell Wilson, if he turned it around, is 5 years. Then you're getting to 40 years old, 40, 41, And I wouldn't even be shocked if if they decided they were going to move forward with him, to draft somebody and let him sit for 2 years behind Russell. And then after 2026, when you part ways with the guy. So, and I would be fine with that if Russell could win us some football games. And I'm not saying Russell's the only problem. So, all the Russ supporters out there who just call me a hater and everything else, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying Russ does not fit in this offense. That is the problem. And Sean Payton's not going to bend his offense for Russell Wilson. That is Sean Payton's ego. Everybody wants to say, oh, great coaches, they change the offense for their players. No, they don't. You don't change your entire offense for a player,
Nope.
because what happens in 2 years when that guy's gone? Then you're going to change it all back? No, you can't do that. You get guys to fit your system, and that's what they have to do. So, all right. So we looked at that. Let's look at this. See, and this is a question. Keith brings up an outstanding question here, because if Denver gets hot, let's just say this. Let's say that Denver goes into Buffalo and shocks the world more than shocking the world by beating KC here. Let's say we go into Buffalo and we beat Buffalo. Then we got 3 more winnable games. If we roll off 4 in a row, we're like sitting at 7-5. KC's at 6-2 right now, I believe. Is that what they are, Graham?
KC is, let's see. The Kansas City Chiefs are, 6-2.
So they're 6-2. We're 3-5. So we're basically 3 games behind them, because we have a wash because we split the season series. If we got on a 4-game run, he's right. They go to Germany to play Miami. They come back, and then the Eagles. I believe they have Cincinnati in there as well somewhere, don't they? Do you have their schedule pulled up by chance, Graham?
I can.
Yeah, pick it up. I want
Let's
to see
see.
who their next 4 games are. I know they have a pretty tough stretch of games coming along. And if Kansas City starts to falter, Denver could realistically, if Denver wins and takes care of business, could catch them for the division lead. Now, how crazy is that when we start at 1-5, and then we're going to say, gee whiz, well, man, we're battling with Kansas City for the division. Because then I sit there and I say, and I agree with all these Russ supporters, then you probably do just keep Russell Wilson for 2 more years, and you draft a guy to be his successor in a couple years. Somebody that can sit behind him, like a Jaden Daniels or someone like that can sit behind him and learn, and then come in and move in and take his place when it's a little more economically feasible to part ways with Russ. So,
Right.
but I just don't see it that way, because I don't know if he is Sean Payton's guy, and I don't know if Sean Payton fully trusts the guy.
Yeah. So the Kansas City Chiefs are at home against the Dolphins,
which is in Germany.
Whoops.
Yeah, they're the home team. They're the home team that's in Germany.
Gotcha. Actually at home against the Eagles.
Okay.
In 2 weeks, because they have a bye coming up.
Right.
At Raiders and at Packers. So,
okay. And I know they have the. Do they have the? Who else do they have? Do they have the Bengals, and who else do they have the rest of the season?
They have The whoops. They have the Bills, Patriots, Raiders, Bengals, and Chargers.
So yeah, I mean that they have some games there that can be losable for them as well. Chargers normally play Kansas City tough. So Kansas City hasn't been a world killer. So
Right.
we'll see what will happen. So um,
Will they still make a playoff push? Absolutely,
oh
but
yeah, Kansas
they're
City.
not. Yeah,
They're not the Kansas City of last year.
or the
And
year
even
before.
last year, right, or the year before. I think when they did not really go out and replace Tyreek Hill is where they really have
Oh yeah,
suffered because they don't have that guy who can, take the top off the defenses, and allows people to sort of compact that a little bit more because they're not too worried about somebody just blowing by them or catching the ball and running 80 yards for a touchdown. So
and you know the funny thing is that they traded for one of their former receivers, McCall Hardman from the Jets, who initially wanted out of there.
right. So
Yeah.
all right, everybody out there in the group, let me know offensive MVP. That's where we'll start. Let me know who you think on the first half of the season. Who's your offensive MVP? Graham, let me have yours.
So I'm going to go with. Uh, I I kind of want to go with that rookie running back. Um, why can I not think of his name right now?
Oh,
Um,
Jaleo McLaughlin.
yeah, but he's not even their starter.
Right,
So
right,
Javante, the run game has been great for us this year.
right. So,
Unfortunately, our receivers haven't been the greatest, but you know,
right.
it's
And
not all on them.
yeah, and I'm gonna agree with Frank. I'm gonna go exactly where Frank says. It has to be Russell Wilson because Russell Wilson has put up some very good numbers. But like Frank says, nobody on this offense stands out. Could we just say we don't have an offensive MVP? I mean, that would be easy, right? Just say, yeah, we don't have an off
Yeah,
we don't have an offensive MVP. This offense has been so inconsistent and everything else.
the thing is though, our MVP doesn't have to live up to another team's MVP. So we have to make it so we're only focusing on our squad and not comparing him.
Right, right. Yeah, we're not talking about an NFL MVP. We're just talking the Broncos MVP.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of chatter in here for Russ, and I agree. It has to be Russ. I mean, just because of the numbers he has put up. My thing with Russ is Russ cannot fully run Sean Payton's offense because this offense would be probably pretty potent if if Russ had Sean Payton's full trust. And I just don't think he does. I don't know personally. This is just things I've heard, people who have a little more know than I do, that are around the Broncos a lot, sort of, all have the same opinion that Sean Payton does not trust Russell Wilson to run his full offense. That Russell Wilson is not Drew Brees, and Russell Wilson will never be Drew Brees. But that being said, Russ has put up good numbers. Russ has put up MVP type numbers. The only number we're missing is wins. And you can't blame that all on Russ. It's not all on Russ. Russ didn't give up 70 points in Miami. You know,
Right.
Russ didn't allow Washington to come storming back. Yeah, he was a part of it. The defense failed, just things like that. So it Russ has put up very good numbers. And I said it time and time again. Russ is not the problem. I just don't think Russ is the solution here. And that's my thing. I just don't think Russ is really the guy who is going to lead this team to the promised land. Because I just don't think that Russ can fully run Sean Payton's offense the way that it was supposed to be run.
Here's
So
somewhat of a counter to that, though. Like the play calling. What do you think of that, though?
I think the play calling at times is suspect. But I think a lot of it does have to do with him not trusting Russell Wilson a lot.
Right.
So, you know,
Keith Keith here is in agreement with me
yeah. And I
with the
like
run
Jaleel
game.
McLaughlin. Yeah. I mean, he probably is. That is probably the guy we may be getting the most value for him. Even though he's not the starter, that guy comes in, he's just the spark plug. He's the guy who gets you going. He's the guy that'll bust you off a 20-yard run, that has that ability. I like now that Javonte Williams is coming back. Javonte looks like he is back to rookie Javonte. I think he is 100% confident in that knee now. This next comment by Frank, I like that. And this is the big problem right here. He does not have a lot of INTs, but the sacks and the fumbles, they're killing drives.
Hmm.
And a lot of sacks are on Russ. And people cannot deny that. They'll sit there and try to say that they're not, but they are, because Russ refuses to throw the ball away, or Russ refuses to try to throw the ball into a tight window. You're an NFL quarterback that people say are a future Hall of Famer. Have a little bit of confidence in your arm and throw that ball. Put it on there where you're look what he did when he threw that 50-50 ball to Jerry Jeudy against the Chiefs. Where has that been all year? Throw the ball,
Yeah.
give your guys a chance. You at least have to give your guys a chance. If you don't give your guys a chance, so look at that. 32nd time in holding the ball this
Oh,
season. 32nd. That is a problem. You can only ask offensive linemen to block so long, especially when we have some guys that pass pro is not their strong suit, a Ben Powers or McGlinchey, Oh, Keith came back, so sorry, he's 29. So there are three guys that are worse than him, but 29 is
but
not good.
still. Still.
ESPN even came out and they ranked quarterbacks, statistically, yes, Russ is up there, but they rank quarterbacks, and he's ranked as the 19th best quarterback in the NFL. So it's not like we're operating with a franchise guy right now. He's putting up numbers, but like I've said before, the most important stat out there that everybody should look at is QBR, because QBR gives you a glimpse into every single play that quarterback touched that ball and what the results were. And it takes out factors of, oh, that was the receiver's fault because he dropped the ball, or, oh, well, that was the offensive lineman's fault because he didn't block it. It gives you a true glimpse at the guy. So he's ahead of Josh Allen, Hurts, and Mahomes. So, and that's because those are three guys that like to run around a lot. And Russ just doesn't have the speed that those guys have now. Russ tries to get out, but he just really can't escape, And there's some other
Frank.
glaring factors out there about where Russ's pass distribution is. The right side of the field is like almost gone. I believe it's the right or the left. Correct me if I'm wrong, Keith, if you know. It's either the right side or the left side is pretty much non-existent,
Frank is
and
coming in. Sorry, Frank is coming in here with another good one here. But
right,
running backs not
right.
picking up blitzes.
And that's why a lot of people say, well, why isn't Jaleel McLaughlin playing more? Because the guy is not very
He's
good at
tiny.
pass protection. Yeah, he's sort of like Philip Lindsay. He hasn't learned the blocking, assignments and stuff like that yet, and he struggles there. So, and
Hmm.
J.C. Weaver comes in and he says, "Can we see one game where PS2 truly shadows the player?" And we'll need it against Diggs. And
Yep.
The problem is that if you do that against Diggs, then they got Davis and they got other players up there in Buffalo that can hurt you as well. So it's going to be a challenge, but left side. See, left side is non-existent for Russ and almost nothing beyond 6 yards. So if you're taking away a third of the field, you as a quarterback, that's a failure on your part that you've eliminated a third of the field from your arsenal. And
Yeah.
defenses know that. It's not like it just happened in one game. It happens every single game.
As soon as you roll out, you're eliminating so much of the field.
Right. So, and I think Russ just gets a little happy feet, and I think he tries to get out of the pocket a little quicker than he needs to. Russ needs to just stand in there, and yeah, you're going to take some hits, but you got to stand in there, and take them. So,
yep.
And was Jackson not playing an improvement? Young's, I think it was.
PJ Locke has been good.
PJ Locke has been good. I'm excited to see PJ Locke step up. I was actually calling for the Broncos to just go ahead and release, especially if it was going to be a 4-yard or a 4-game suspension. I was going to say, hey, just go ahead and release K-Jax at that point and let the young guys play, But they reduced it to 2 years. And I guess you could use the depth, but at this point, Graham, I mean, would you just let PJ Locke be the starter and tell K-Jax, hey, sorry, you're going to be a depth guy now? We're moving on from you after the season. So,
honestly, I thought that was going to be the case with him being a backup to Caden Stearns.
Well, yeah, until Stearns got hurt, then PJ Locke, wasn't healthy either. And so
that's right. Yeah.
I think the plan is, hey, I would just use him as a depth guy from now on. So I like him.
Yeah.
So and yes, Kurt, okay, he threw 3 TDs to his left on Sunday, but how far downfield were they? What we're talking about is when you're between the 20s, part of the field is missing, Kurt, and you can't deny it. And all you Russ apologists, really just need to understand that, yeah, the guy has flaws. He's not a perfect quarterback. He's not Russell Wilson from 2012. This is the 2023 version of Russell Wilson, who's the same as the 2022 version of Russell Wilson, just has more touchdowns and stuff, who is not as good as the 2021 version of Russell Wilson. So as we can see, the guy's sort of on a decline or maybe flat line. I mean, he's come up a little bit this year. So like I said, I'll give him his props. He has improved a little bit this year. Right, and Jackson does need to realize it's not 98, the days of Atwater, Lynch, Dawkins. Yeah, I mean, he is a liability. His coverage is not that good, so. But defensive MVP. Who's your guys' defensive MVP out there? Graham, who do you got as your defensive MVP? Can you give it to a Justin Simmons who missed so many games?
I would love to, but I just can't really justify that. I would probably go with Alex Singleton.
Yeah, and I agree with you there. That's probably mine is Alex Singleton. That guy has just been out there making plays, Could he be better in pass protection? I mean, pass coverage probably, but the guy, he's just out there. He makes tackles. He makes plays.
Tackling
I like
machine.
him. Josie Jewell, he looked good last week too. PS2, we just don't hear about PS2 enough. Is it just because nobody throws at the guy? I've seen more people go at him this year. Frank has a good point right there. Frank has a good point.
Yeah.
VJ is the defensive MVP. and I would say, I would have
He,
to agree, Frank. That is a good point.
yeah.
VJ has definitely turned that defense around. I think getting some of these players back that they've got back, you know, has helped. Justin Simmons coming back, Josie Jewell. I think moving on from Mathis, So, and Russ is not a
Yeah.
winner. Russ has not been a winner since 2021. Russ has won how many games here as a quarterback with the Denver
Ooh.
Broncos? 6, 7. What are they? They were 5. He won 4 games last year, 3 this year, so he's won 7 games.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, we'll move on from that. So,
Whoops. Whoa, the comms are going by fast. Garrett Bowles, Quinn Miners, and Lloyd
Cush, yeah,
Cushenberry.
Cush may be the most improved. A lot of people were calling for Cush to be gone. A lot of people did not want him here. You know,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, defensively, yeah, I'm gonna go with Singleton. PS2, I guess, is just too easy of you know a thing because nobody throws at the guy. You know, but he has
Yeah.
gotten challenged the last couple games, and he has made some penalties and things like that. So hopefully, this isn't a sign of things to come. So maybe he's just struggling. So, but it's not like he's horrible. So, not gonna
Right.
throw that out there. So, yep.
PS2.
Kenny likes PS2 as a defensive MVP. Okay, for this team to make a run, who has to be the MVP? Does it have to be Russ? Does Russ have to be the MVP? Or does it have to be that defensive unit as a whole, sort of like the Legion of Boom that Russ needed to win a Super Bowl? Does Russ need another outstanding defense to win a Super Bowl surrounded by a good run game?
I mean,
So,
I think that the defense being a lot better seems more likely than Russell Wilson, personally, because I feel like what we're halfway through the season now, and he's not putting up like all-star numbers, and so I don't
right.
think that he's gonna be that this year.
So what do you think of this, Graham? What do you think of people who say that Russ takes all these sacks because he doesn't want to throw incompletions or interceptions? He just wants the stat pad. Think there's any truth to that? Do you
No,
think do you
no.
do you think
Well,
well, I don't know. Does he have any type of incentive in his contract of, if you complete so many passes or anything like that? Matt, you're out there. Do you know if he has any performance incentives like that tied into his contract? That's where
hmm,
performance incentives sometimes bother me, especially a quarterback. If you tell him, hey, if you throw less than this many interceptions or your completion percentage is this high, So, if you're a quarterback, would you start taking? Let's say you had a $2 million performance incentive. Would you start taking sacks and just throwing the ball out of bounds? To keep your interceptions down, or take sacks so you're not throwing incomplete passes. So, and everybody does have the right approach here. We have to run the ball. We have to play lights out defense. And Keith hit it on the head because we do not have a franchise quarterback. And we
yeah,
don't. We don't have a franchise quarterback. Russ is not a franchise quarterback. Russ is a guy who can manage the game for us, not turn the ball over, hopefully, and but run the ball, play solid defense. It's the same exact way that Russ won Super Bowl 48. Defense and a good running game. Should have won another Super Bowl, Super Bowl 49, but then you see what happened when they put the ball in Russ's hand through an interception at the
oh
goal
yeah.
line. So, that's
Oh man,
so. But yeah, I
yeah,
think the formula to win is run the ball, and just abuse Williams and McLaughlin. Those guys need to be your workhorses in the second half, and find a receiver who you can trust.
Oh
Because
yeah.
I want to ask everybody out there, who is shocked that Jerry Judy's still on this team? I want
Me.
an honest opinion. Who is shocked that that guy is still on this roster, especially after that whole thing with Steve Smith Sr.? So, but how can you say a franchise quarterback when you pass for 114 yards, Kenny? Come on. That's not a franchise quarterback. That's a game manager. That's the same thing that Trent Dilfer did. That was a game manager.
They won a Super Bowl.
Right. And we don't need Russ to be a franchise quarterback if we can run the ball and if we have a top 5 defense. Then you don't need Russ to be the franchise quarterback that everybody thinks he is, that he no longer is. And some people just need to realize that he's not a franchise quarterback anymore. He may be paid like one, but he's not performing like one. So, and I agree. I don't agree with letting Russ cook, but get Sutton the ball. Get Sutton improved more. No, I never said Dak was a franchise QB, so don't come in here, Kurt, putting words in people's mouths. Nobody said that.
All right.
I mean, I'm going to have to turn off the comments again here in a minute, I think. So
Yeah.
well, guys, we didn't want it to turn
There we
into a
go.
Russ bashing, thing. And I'll say it, I've said it time and time again, but people can't get this through their head. Russ is not the problem, but he's not the solution. That's my stance on Rush. That is my opinion. Yep. And you notice all these quarterbacks that the Trent Dilfers and who else was there? The Joe Flaccos, the guys like that were good game managers and they went and won a Super Bowl. They had an outstanding defense around them, So defense is very important. And I think right now, I mean, we're Peyton Manning in the Super
Tom
Bowl
Brady.
50. I mean, look at Peyton Manning in Super Bowl 50. Look at his stats. It was a defense that won it. And that's what we don't need Russ to win it. Just go out there and don't lose it, Russ. Don't kill drives. So, gee whiz, one of the best postseason runs of all time with Joe Flacco.
All right, let's go to one comment about
right.
Judy again.
All right.
From Keith here.
That is true, and it was reportedly a 3rd and a 5th. So does it bother you that Denver valued him so high? I understand he was a first-round pick, and you do at times have to swallow things like that. But a 3rd and 5th, I would have jumped all over that. I mean, I hate to say it. Yeah, I know that he was a first-round draft pick, but tell me when he has lived up to a first-round draft pick. And everybody's going to go to, look at the last five games last year. So what? What's he done since? And I just don't understand. And I guess Keith would take Dak over Russ right now. Could he be worse? Could he be worse?
What's his contract?
Well, his contract's probably comparable. Yeah, I don't think I think Jerry Jones would laugh at us, So, but yeah, there's quarterbacks out there that I would take over Russ. There's even some young quarterbacks that I would take and let them grow and develop. So, but Kurt's the guy who agrees with the Los Angeles Rams that you throw it all in, all your chips in, you win one Super Bowl and it's done. So, and now where's the Rams? I would rather do it, the
Oh
way
yeah.
somebody like Kansas City has done, and they've been doing this for 8 years now with Mahomes. And yeah, Mahomes has dropped off a little bit, but I'm not going to say Mahomes has dropped off. That offense has dropped off. One, I think Eric Bieniemy was more valuable to that team than people want to let on. And two, letting Tyreek Hill go and not replacing him with somebody that's sort of like him, I think has hurt that team as well. You don't
Yeah.
have to play like a franchise quarterback to make a playoff run. I don't need Russ to go out there and throw for 350 yards and 4 touchdowns. If we can run the ball 40 times a game like we did against Kansas City, because that's where Denver needs to win games, is we need to keep opposing quarterbacks on the bench, because that's going to, that keeps their scoring down, and it helps our defense too. You run the ball and let Russ throw for 200 yards. I don't care, and a couple touchdowns here and there. Just don't do anything dumb, you know. Don't throw interceptions. Don't keep fumbling the ball, So
Now, this right here, is Dak making $59 million in 1 year?
yeah,
Wow.
yes, he got paid.
Jeez.
He got paid. And see, Kurt, that's where you and I. That's where you need to understand where I'm at. I don't need Russ to be a franchise guy. I need Russ to just be the game manager now. Try to run Sean Payton's offense to the best of your ability. Don't go out there and don't mess things up. I hate to say it, Russ is not that let Russ cook kind of guy anymore. Let Russ, I mean, yeah, he has some nice shots down the field against the Chiefs. I will give him that. But I would not hedge my bet to say that we could live that way. So I'm not
Teams
complaining
figure.
about Kurt. I'm not complaining. What I'm saying, you guys are saying that he's a franchise quarterback. I'm saying he's not. He went out there and threw for 114 yards and 3 touchdowns. That's not a franchise quarterback. That's a game manager, and that's what we need. That's what I've been saying. Run the ball and take the decision-making out of Russell Wilson's hands, because he seems to struggle with decision-making. I think the offense may be too complex for him. Oh, my goodness.
All right.
I don't understand. Apparently, Kurt's not listening to the show. He's just typing whatever he wants. So, because that's exactly what I just said, Kurt. That's what we did. We ran it down their throat, and he threw for 3 touchdowns on 114 yards. That is called a game manager, not a franchise quarterback. All right. You guys say he's a franchise quarterback and a Hall of Famer. I don't. I think if he keeps playing at this rate, he may even tarnish his legacy as a Hall of Fame quarterback. But it's I don't know. Anyway, hey, we're almost, this hour's almost gone by, Graham. And this was just sort
Yeah.
of a fly by the seat of your pants show. We really didn't. This show almost didn't happen. A lot happened today. It's been a crazy day. I woke up at 6 o'clock in the morning. I was out getting seasonings. I had to pick up seasonings. I had to go down and watch some sauce be made. I was running all over. I got an event tomorrow I'm trying to get ready for. It was just crazy. But
I only got home
so
45 minutes before the show.
So yeah, we weren't sure that it was going to happen. So we appreciate you guys coming in here, and contributing to the show. And you know what, Kurt, Jody, hey, I love you guys, man. And it's all in good fun. That's the nice thing about sports. We all debate things. We all have our different opinions. Oh, and Frank brings up a good thing. And can you throw this last comment of Frank's up there? The Colorado Bucks Soccer Club. I want to bring this up. This is a new franchise. This is from the Major Indoor Soccer League. Colorado was just given a team. So Frank actually works with the guy that his wife is the owner of the Colorado Bucks indoor soccer team. So, hey, if you guys are into soccer, go out and support these guys. I don't know what their schedule is. We'll look it up for next show, and we'll sort of let you guys know when play is going to start and things like that. But hey, if you guys can, go out and check these guys out. So, and if we have anybody who's interested in covering soccer, let us know, because I think it'd be pretty awesome to go out and cover this team and get them a little bit of pub. So they will play in Littleton somewhere. So we'll figure that out. Back up to Kurt. Kurt says, of course, debates are great, but can you answer my last question? Kurt, what was your last question? So wait for the record. Did Russ do his job on Sunday? I think Russ did do his job on Sunday. He was a game manager on Sunday, and that's what I want him to be. That's what I'm saying, Kurt. What are you not understanding here? I'm saying I want Russ to be a game manager. Let's run the ball, have great defense. Let Russ go out there, manage the game. Don't lose it for us. That's what I want, Kurt. And I will be happy. So I don't understand where you think I won't be happy. Do I want Russ here long term? No, I don't. Am I a Russ fan? No, I am not. I never have been a Russ fan. That's my own personal opinion. But guess what? If it's good for the Broncos and we're winning football and we're going to the playoffs and we're winning playoff games, then guess what? I'll support the guy. Doesn't mean I have to like him. I just don't like him. That's my own personal opinion. So, all right. But hey, back to, I want to thank everybody, for coming out, joining in, throwing your comments out there, everything else. We got a weekend off, watch some other teams, or just relax this weekend, So, yeah, and I agree, Kurt. Let's go. If we can make a run, heck, if this team went 7-2 and we finished 10-7 and snuck into the playoffs, guess what? I'd be one happy person. I would even say bring Russ back for 2 more years and draft your replacement. That's what I would say. Let Russ go through 2026 and we bring in, we get a Jaden Daniels or someone like that can learn behind him and then go. So, and Frank, no more let's ride, please. we thought that went away after last year, Frank. But yeah, I mean, thanks, Frank, for showing up. Frank is up in Loveland. He is the owner of Frank's Barbecue Trading Post. So if you're up in northern Colorado, you guys need barbecue supplies, head over to Frank's place. Check him out. He carries all of the Willow product line up there. We will be up there on, what are we calling it, Frank? Bark Friday. It will not be Black Friday. It will be Bark Friday, because you know how in barbecue they got the bark on the meat. Willow will be up there for Bark Friday, so we'll probably have some good specials when we're up there. But we definitely want everybody to get out there and support Frank's. Support your small businesses. So, all right, everybody. Thanks again for joining us today. We'll be back next Friday at our regular time, 10 a.m. And then hopefully that'll be our regular schedule from here on out. But hey, thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining us, and we will talk to you next week. Go Broncos.